It's just too viral. Yeah, I can't donate nothing. But I mean, maybe my brain, because they like to cut inside there and see what the virus does. I guess, I don't know. So you're totally useless. Just totally useless. What? Yeah, go ahead.
Why is it that one person, one mate can have AIDS and the other do not? If that is the same person,
Well, they're probably practicing safe sex. It's the only thing I can say. I mean, yeah, yes.
How long have you been infected?
Who? Me?
Yeah.
14 years, it'll be 15 March.
And how is it that you have managed to stay this strong?
Well, I contribute. I'm not all that strong. I contribute a lot of it because I found out when I was 19 years old, and I just think the power of youth, for one, and a good sense of humor, and just kind of a faith in tomorrow. Basically, I have a lot of fun. I find a lot of gratitude in a lot of things, and that does help a lot if you're just grateful about just today, and go for tomorrow. And I'm just a kid, a big kid who doesn't want to go to bed, I think. Yeah.
Do you have HIV or do you have AIDS?
I have AIDS. Yes, I've had full-blown AIDS since 1992. Yeah. That's when I started talking to Les. I was 6 months out of the hospital before I came here. I came in here.
Did any specific thing happen?
I had pneumocystis pneumonia.
Oh, and that's
And I had it for 2 weeks before I went in the hospital, and because I didn't want to face it. I didn't know what it was, but I couldn't. I was really heavy breath. It was midsummer, and my lungs were really super heavy, and real tight, and so I had high fever. Went to the hospital, and it was quite an experience. And I stayed in the hospital for 9 days. And I went home, and I had lost a lot of weight, and I had 58 T cells at that time. You see, this is called a rebound. This is a really wicked thing. It's really wicked because you have so many expiration dates, and you don't have them, and you don't go, and you stay. They give you another one, and life gets good, and then it gets bad. And I've been having fun though. I'm going 2000. I'm going to Seattle, and I missed Seattle for 2 years, but I've been going since '92, every New Year's, and to build up to this point. And that's another one of the things, I guess. And I maxed all my credit cards out in '92, so I think my credit's going to be good. In 2001, I'll have good credit again, and I can throw it all to hell again. That's how I live. And
do you know how you contracted it?
Well, yeah, I had a lot of funky monkey sex all over the place, and that's between men and women, and I spent a lot of time in Southern California as well as up here. So, and that's another thing, is the people that you might have infected, and the responsibility to them that you have after you found out that you're infected. These are other things to pitch. Yes.
How did you get it? I mean, would it person if I asked you what was your lifestyle during the period when you got it, and how did you find out that you had it?
I'm not understanding the first part of that.
Just repeat of how did you get it?
How did you get it?
What's your lifestyle?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to repeat the funky monkey stuff. Did you? Gay, male sex, and female sex. Sex with men and sex with women. All between the ages of 14 and 19.
Then she wanted to know, what was the second part? And how did you know he had it?
Well, what's really strange, because this is a disease of denial, because, if you think you're not at risk, you are. If you think, well, it's not going to happen to me, and I've seen it so many times, not going to happen to me. I myself. There was nobody in my classroom in 1985 preaching this, or letting me know about this, telling me you could go out and have all the funky, monkey, whatever you want, but do it safe. Because I have discovered that it can be done safe, and it's enjoyable safe, and it has many avenues and it's funkier. And but I didn't have that then. So, but I started getting worried about it. I heard about it. I heard about HIV in, I say, what, 81? And and what the media and the press was saying was not conducive to warrant. I felt no, apprehension as to going out and having unsafe sex. And then I started getting worried as the news articles started to change. And I thought about my past behavior and took the plunge on March 10th, 1985, after reading a Time magazine article about the virus. And I got tested. And I would say it was just a pivotal point in my life. My whole life had just been set up for this. I became sexually active in 1980. They found out what the virus was in 1985. I found out I had the virus. My life, I began to deplete. Well, I sobered up. They said that I had 4 years to live in 1985. They said that I'd be dead by the time that I was 22 years old. And I dropped out of college. I told no one. Because back then, HIV was the worst thing in the world that you could have. I had buddies that had jokes about it. My aunt told jokes at the dining table about it. And nobody knew. I found out. 4 years. I said I could do it in 2 years. And I partied and partied and partied and partied and partied and partied, and nothing happened. And at the end of that 2 years, the new people on the news were saying, you might live up to 10 years. And when I'm 21 years old, so I cleaned up my act. And this is what I envisioned doing. Because I was so young. And I have survived for 14 years. And it's been harsh at times, and it's been miraculous at times, and it's been incredible at times. And I don't want anybody to have to go through it, because you get robbed. So, any questions? Yes.
When you think of someone that's diabetic with diabetes or cancer with cancer, is it like any comparisons to terminally stuff like that? Or
well, in what form? Cancer, I know cancer is devastating. Yes, right. Cancer is devastating. I'm not saying either one aren't. AIDS is, I don't know which is more.
That's what I'm saying. Is it
more? I have no idea. Yeah. I just know that when you die of AIDS, you don't look like you anymore. You have you're just the bones, and you have no control of anything on your body or person. And you can't see, and you can't hear.
like sometimes diabetics, they get their legs cut off,
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, just recently, I heard the story of a man that had to have all his teeth pulled out, and then died 3 months later. Anyway, so that is harsh. Why go through all of that pain, right? This little bit of torture right before you die anyway? To just twist my arms off. Yes, go ahead.
You said earlier that you can get it through the blood. Now, how is it that when a person has AIDS, and I'm sure someone that has AIDS get their teeth done, how do the dentists protect the tools?
Well, it's called an enclave. They put everything in an enclave, which is a high heat, intensified, kills everything. Everything. And we'd have more cases of people being infected that way. And trust me, the CDC is tracking everything. They track everything, and you're pretty much protected. But go in and ask for an enclave and ask your dentist to explain it to you. That's what you do, because you're responsible for you. You're responsible for you, what you do with your body, and who does what to your body, and when, and how, and in what kind of way. So ask, get to know the stuff.
This is my last question.
No, don't say that. Ask another one after that one.
way, I mean, all the different treatments there are for when a person gets a, what are their options?
The options, okay. Well, today I'm not sure if they're starting you right away, but on the retrovirals, which are the new virals. Before they were the antivirals, which was the AZT, and I'm sure everybody's heard about AZT, which I refused to take during that period of my life because I was young, and I knew that my youth would carry me through this point, and I was so ridiculed for that. But I didn't start taking anything, which is this, until '96. I started taking the, which they finally had, 10 years later they had this, which is not a cure. It's like having diabetes and having to do insulin shots, but very different. Okay, so at below 200, they'll put you on what I'm going to say this. Okay, they'll put you on the retrovirals, which are a cocktail. It's a cocktail of many different antiretrovirals, so that they can interlink them, they can interchange them. If you fail on one, they can put another one in its place, which is different. Okay, so there's a set of different kinds of pills. So that's the new thing now, and what that does, I'm going to remember this right. The antiviral coated around, I believe, and this one is coating the cell. So I'm not sure which one that is, but the virus goes in and blocks either one of these off. Is what they're trying to do, is to put a barrier around either one of these to keep it from doing what it does, and it has been very successful. In 1996, I couldn't walk, and I was swinging from ropes in my house to get around, and they came with this one. Hey, it was a good time, too. Did you? It wasn't bad. I was humbled. So, but these numbers began to climb up. They began to go back up. Because a viral load, there's something called a viral load, which they just discovered how to do that, to count the load of HIV in your body. And it goes up from, I think mine was like 160,000 with a T-cell count of, what was 70. Okay? So we got a, I'm trying to explain this fully. We got a, okay, we got 75, shush now, 75 T cells, right? We've got 75 T cells. 75 T cells, if that can be seen. 75 T cells and 160,000 HIV. Okay, oh God, this looks horrible. But anyway, forget it. Helped me out. Spent some time. Okay, now this number is way out there. That's far more. You see the balance there. This is going to take me down. 75 is not good. I've had as low as 30. That's this same year I had 30. So this is such a variable that it doesn't matter. Okay, people survive with none of these. They have, not for long, before something happens. So this began to. I started taking the new retrovirals within 3 weeks. This went down to about 1,000, and my T cells started to go back up. It was miraculous. This is what I'm talking about. This is very stressful. It's good news, but it's just a wicked, wicked ride. I had things that were on my legs that had been there for 4 years. I used to burn off with a welder's pick, and they went away. 4 years on my body gone. Yes?
Hello. I was wondering what happens to the virus when a person with AIDS dies, and also what risk of infection is there to the person preparing the body for burial?
Just as much risk as a doctor is operating on you, I'm sure. Pretty much no risk. I'm sure they take all the precautions that they're supposed to take. And the virus can't hurt you when the body is dead, unless it takes as soon as the body is probably cold and non-functioning, the virus will die. I'm sure there's no. I don't have the studies on that, but I wouldn't be afraid of a dead body, unless you're. What is that word? I forget. Yeah, I forget the word. So, don't have sex with the dead. Did you? And don't. Anyway, yes, just yeah. So, of no danger, and that's one thing. You know, I guess I should. You know, there's other things that you can be more afraid of than that. Tampons. I had somebody ask me once, so what if I sit down on a bloody toilet seat? And hey, that was my line. Why would you sit on a bloody toilet seat? And that person came back with, what if it's dark? Okay, yeah, you like to run around and sit on bloody toilet seats in the dark. And the thing is that you'd have to have a big old sore or cut or, you know, raw behind, and you have to sit on that toilet seat, and you'd have to rub it in. And that's, you know, because you got the virus to be introduced into your body. I hate saying it's got to, but it has to get into your blood system, into your bloodstream. Okay, so this has got to be one of the most.
Does Magic Johnson take the cocktail?
He takes the cocktail, yes, and Jesus. So yes.
How many do you take a day? Or
well, right now they took me off of them because I broke through them. Oh. I was going to keep explaining that too. That's why they have to interchange these. That's why they have to interchange the medication, is because eventually you break through. The virus mutates around it. See, quite a nasty, vicious thing. Okay, so they got to replace it and put another one in there. And so that's what's happened. They totally took me off of it. Which is probably why I'm doing so good today. Which is really because it's been an incredible trip, because I've been taking it for 3 years. Since that time I told you about, that everything just changed for me, and I broke through, and so they're going to put me on something else, which is probably going to be a little more toxic, if I choose to do that. Which I don't know, which is dilemmas, and I'll probably take it. And I'll probably just go through that and listen, going, yeah. Okay, so any more questions?
Because like when you think about a person with cancer, you know, that chemotherapy stuff.
Yeah, I know a person that has gone through all of that. It's nasty. Yeah. What can you do? Right. Go through it. Some people just you've got their choices. Yeah.
You know when you say it breaks through. Is it just because I've heard people develop immunity to their medication?
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's the immunity to it. But it's the virus. It's actually the virus that is getting around it. It just builds up around it. If you got to take this medication 24/7. I mean, you cannot miss a dose, because if you miss a dose, the virus will get around it. It's a constant bombardment. It's like putting out a fire with a fire hose. You take the fire hose away, the fire's going to burn stronger. So, but after too much, you know, it just doesn't work. And so it'll eventually break through, and they got those other things back behind there. So, and it's happening to a lot of people that started taking it at the same time I did. I got a ride, Kathy. Thanks. There's a message.
Is it like really, really rapid in the younger generation?
Well,
like
yes,
from
yeah.
16
I don't have to I have a percentage on that.
A very high
but yes,
percentage?
it's yeah. Who is sexually active? Who is sexually active? You know, and I watch. Well, I'm watching some of these shows on TV, like that Ricky person. Yeah, I hear about when they talk about protection on this. Yeah, yeah, okay, him too. He's inciting sex. Nothing I'm against sex or nothing, but anyway, I'll incite some sex. But I'm talking about when they talk about protection on these shows, they're worried about pregnancy. You know, and they're talking about this partner and the other partners, and I just can't believe it, because I see it, and I see it where I go to a doctor's office. I see the crowd at this clinic. I see the crowd. When I started, it was mainly gay men, and now it's not. There are young people in there. There were you know, women who were married. There are mothers. There are children. I was fortunate enough to spend some time at Camp Ronald McDonald over this summer with children, and it was I couldn't really figure out how I felt after that, but seeing small kids having to march off to the commissary place after dinner every night, and sometimes yell and the screaming because they had to take this medicine that really isn't meant for them. It's meant for adults. I think that's what's going on. I might be wrong. Don't know. But if it's AZT or anything, it's just got to be hard on kids and their parents, and they've lost their parents. And yes.
Why is it a higher rate in black people?
I think education, and denial. It's not to be talked about. It's the same thing to the gay population. It's just nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to be responsible with and for it. And it's got to be out. You know, I did a lot of speaking, and I stepped aside. I'm not saying I morally or whatever stepped aside, or that I was pushed aside, but it was kind of to step aside and let more black women and females do the speaking because of the risk rate. I started speaking as a gay man and a teen, practically, because I was talking to teens about my infection and prevention and safety but there's more, and it's just that ignorance and the lack of wanting to discuss it and think that it's going to happen, and and there's lots of, you know, anybody want to do any kind of volunteering or get any kind of involvement in that spreading that kind of a word, do it. Because, you know, in 1980, people in San Francisco in the gay community were dropping like flies, being killed by something that they did not know what it was, that it was a damnation on their heads, it was God's wrath, and there are people who still believe that, and I can see, okay, you know, and there's that horrible word again, it's killing all the right people. So I think that just in itself merits some stepping up and some responsibility. So, anybody gonna get tested? Anybody gonna? I'm not promoting that, but hey, it's a good suggestion. Anybody know that anybody that's had HIV? Anybody know anybody that's died of it? Be safe. I don't know what you got. You got questions, Liz? Can you help promote some activity in this classroom?
Well, one thing that they always ask that they haven't asked yet is about your family.
Oh, well.
I don't know if you want to cover that or not.
Right. Oh, family. So somebody else rephrase that for me.
Does your family know that you had?
Oh, yeah. They've been quite, my family knows, and yeah, they've been quite supportive of me. The whole process of, my sister was the first one to know. She was the closest person to me. We've been through a lot throughout our lives together, so she's my best friend in that area. I told her I was gay first, and I told her I had HIV. It changed everybody's life. It changed everyone's life in a good way. My father was a West Pointer and a very logical, conservative person. It was very hard to tell him, but he was very. First of all, I'm adopted, so these, you know, aren't anybody I know, but they are my family, and he just was the best out of all of them, even though he was conservative and that very militant person. My mom is a gypsy barroom queen from Memphis. And very Baptist, kind of a demoralizing person, and she wasn't really good with any of it. But I got my sister. No, my sister was drunk and told her. So that's how I got that. Got done with that. My sister got drunk and told her. And my father, I sent him my hospital release papers. This is a very hard thing to tell people. Very hard thing to discuss with anyone. And it took me I don't know. It probably took me 4 years to tell anybody. And I got retested in '89 after everything was all changed in my life, and thought maybe it didn't happen, and it did. So it's not fun. Get tested, find out. You don't want to wake up in the middle of, you know, what you're trying to get started here, and find out you got problems, and that you might have given somebody else. Or, you know, a lot of women find out when they become pregnant, which is a double scary thing. And I hope I've covered everything today. And I thank you for your questions and your laughs, laughing at the appropriate things, not laughing at my plight.
We want to thank Gary for coming in.
Everybody else smoking. Picture of health, huh?
I want to thank Gary for coming in and speaking to us about HIV. No, he went way out there with it. Can I do the podium mic?
No.
Here it comes.
Oh, running away.
The podium mic might work. Okay, thanks. Okay, is everybody, can you hear me now? All set? John? Okay, now what I'd like you to do whoa, this isn't even on. What I'd like you to do is to write up a 1.5-page homework assignment based upon the presentation day, but I don't want it just to include, you know, your impressions of Gary. I want you to write about teenage sex, maybe some solutions to the problems that we have with it, any kind of any kind of statements you want to make, anything that could relate to having, you know, sex irresponsibly, anything like that, okay? And then, of course, include your impressions of what you heard today by the guest speaker. So that'll be a 1.5 pages, and due on the next time we meet, because we're not meeting for a whole week. Right? Doesn't have to be typed, it can be handwritten, 1.5 pages. I will only take points off, of course, if you don't make the effort, right? So that's that. I want you all to have a very good Thanksgiving. Be careful and jog that day. And I'll see you in a week.